I feel blessed. Way up, I feel blessed. Way up, I feel blessed. Straight up. Look, I live the life I deserve. Blessed. Fuck a vacay, I feel better at work.
You know, some tattoos might mean something, other ones don't. I just like the way they look. That's good enough for me. You know, I got a lot of clients and people, if I get tattooed, it's gonna mean something. I'm like, okay. That doesn't mean it's any better than somebody who got a tattoo because they liked the way it looked. You know, you can have a tattoo that means something that looks horrible, but it means something, whatever. And then you got tattoos that are beautiful in most people's eyes, but they don't mean anything. It's just a pretty picture. So. I think that's the same thing. I think a tattoo being personal, you know, it has to be personal to be expressive in the first place. I think that some tattoos are gimmicky. You know, those are the things that, you know, most tattooers are tired of doing. It's like, but when you're an artist and you think like an artist and you have clients that appreciate your artistic ability, that's when it becomes way more personal. It becomes way more personal for you, and it becomes personal for them. Then you start attracting, you know, the clients who are serious about tattooing. You know, they like the private setting. They like to talk to you first. They like to see your portfolio, get a feel for what your work, what your work is like. Even if you're a good tattooer, they'll want to see if it's something that you're good at, though. You know. And I think for me, and I'm actually glad that you mentioned the personal thing. I think for me, tattooing has become way more personal. You know, I like now. I had a private studio, and with the new place here, this is my private studio. This area back here, the front of the shop is walk-ins and stuff. But my best thing, I like just tattooing with my client only. I don't, you know, phone not ringing, nobody's coming in the front door. Nobody's walking in asking a million questions. I just like to get my work done. When I get that peace of mind and get that personal, you know, that personal environment, then it's way better. And now I'm thinking all day long of what type of stuff I want to create, what kind of mark I want to make, and I want to build my own audience of people. So I'm thinking of like all these drawings that I need to complete or want to complete, or things I like to just tattoo on people. And at that point, it's way more personal now. You know, years ago it would be, I hope my phone just rings and somebody comes and gets a tattoo. I didn't care if it was a woman, a heart, a name, or whatever. You know, that stuff is always appreciated rather. However, if the work is not mentally stimulating for me, it's just work, and that's cool. That stuff is great. It's, you know, makes you make money off of it. Knock it out and making the people happy. That's all that really matters. But when you're an artist and you're doing artwork is usually fueled by yourself. Sometimes it's, you know, it can be emotional. It can be deep. It could be something you don't think about, or it could be something you're just trying really hard to make pretty. You know, it doesn't have to mean anything. It could just, you have a certain look that you're trying to make. But all those are personal levels. You know, levels of just personal parts of tattooing. So, and that's where I'm at right now, I think.
Existence.
I feel like it's definitely appreciated. What we do, I feel like that some people maybe don't value it as much, but they definitely appreciate it, even if it's just for vanity. You know, they got this tattoo that they really wanted. They paid this money for it. You know, that's appreciation. As far as it being cultural, I don't know. I mean, if in America, even the Western world, period, and then once everything gets around, I think almost the whole world gets westernized. So what we see in the Western culture is that a lot of times things get watered down, or we have some things that look like more of a mockery of something. You know, you have people that get a bunch of Japanese tattooing, even if I have it or other people have it, But in Japanese culture, all these things mean something. You know, every aspect of that, and a lot of us don't know what that is. So with that, we can look at it like we're emulating other cultures that we maybe not be so deeply wrapped up in. But when you look at America, this is American culture or Western culture or wherever you're at, because it's something we're taking part in regularly. Something that people take part in regularly is part of their culture, whether it's even fast food. It maybe not be this great thing that, you know, everybody likes all the time, but you know, it's I think tattooing is more revolutionary sometimes, especially in the younger people. They get their faces covered, more people getting hands and necks and just completely covered with tattoos. And even if they're not completely significant to anything, the culture is becoming this new thing to be covered in tattoos. It's not even that it's new, but it's new to certain people. And tattooing has went mainstream, definitely, and I think that it had lost some value among certain people. You know, I know older tattooers, even younger tattooers, that still value every aspect of tattooing. Still make their needles, still make tattoo machines, you know, still hand paint flash, still do the watercolors and everything. Then you got the guys who just order everything, don't know any of the behind the scenes stuff about tattooing because they weren't exposed to it. Most tattooers do order pre-made stuff now. This is what it is. However, knowing how to build what you have. You know, I can go and grab my stuff out the back and I can come here and make all these needles for you. Everything that I got here in these boxes I can put together and make from what will look like raw materials. You know, just a little metal bar, some acupuncture needles, solder, you know, and I can do all that, take care of it. Whereas a lot of people can't. You know, I can build tattoo machines now. I couldn't before, but I can now. You know, so I tend to hold on to a lot of the old school parts of tattooing, but I think it's still important to evolve in tattooing as well and grow and be aware of what's going on. You know, a lot of times you have younger tattooers that don't know anything about the older parts of tattooing, and you got the old timers that don't want anything to do with the newer parts of tattooing, and you have people who, I'll say, kind of like myself, who are kind of in the middle. A lot of tattooers, or younger tattooers rather, look at me like they're just like, oh, it's the old dude. I'm not even that old. But it's funny because if I'm in my 30s and most of them are in their 20s, there's a big difference. But most of the tattooers that I know are older than me. They're all like 40 plus. So that's different. I'm still young to them. You know what I mean? But I'm like in the middle. So I like who I identify with. You know, I like the relationships with the people who are maybe closer to my age, but I really value the things that I learned from older people. You know, that's who I like hanging around, is the older tattooers. They tell you all these things that you never knew about, all these crazy stories, give you tips and, you know, things that you would never even think about that help you tattooing it. You know. I don't know. I don't like regular jobs, you know, 9 to 5 stuff, second shift, whatever, third shift. That's not for me. I have to be doing my own thing, or at least feeling like it, you know. But, you know, now business opportunities just pop in my head all the time, all these different routes of entrepreneurship. So it definitely would be in business for myself, and I think about my interests, you know. But I also, like I said, I read a lot, kind of like nerdy. I like science a lot. I used to want to be an archaeologist as a child. And when I think back and look at the things that I read and study and I'm attracted to, I'm still like that. You know, I could definitely go that route and do something like that. But like I like art a lot. You know, sometimes I think about going back and, you know, going back to school maybe for fine arts and being some type of art professor or something like that. But that's where my mind is at now, and that's an option that I still might take. And I'm glad you asked that if I wasn't tattooing, because people don't need tattoos. You know, people don't necessarily need art. However, artists have always been relevant forever throughout history. But the one thing is that we as artists weren't always getting paid for what we do. So we got to look at it that way too. You know what I mean? What am I going to do for a living? That makes me think of being a child. And you get all these people, and everybody asks, what do you want to be? What do you want to be? And then you get half the people say lawyer and doctor. The only thing they want is money. They really don't want to be a lawyer or doctor. They want to be a lawyer or doctor because it makes money. And I tell the younger people this all the time, to think about what it is that you genuinely enjoy and figure out a way to make money doing what you enjoy. You don't want to just pick things that sound good. Go for things that fit your personality. So don't waste your talents and efforts on something that's not conducive to you. I don't know if I have a tattoo philosophy. I mean, I think that when you do something that you genuinely enjoy, you know, you get the most out of it, and you don't get anything. The thing is, you get out of tattooing what you put into tattooing, you know, and your consistency with it. Some people may want to just treat it like something they can fall back on and make a few a little bit of cash here and there one day, just doing a tattoo party, and then they just go off and lollygag and do whatever it is they do. They may not have the real passion for it, so maybe it's not cut out for them, you know. But no, it's not that it's fun. I don't think tattooing is really fun. For me, it's fulfilling. I'm not really a person that I don't thrive off of fun. You know what I mean? If I enjoy something, I enjoy it, but it doesn't have to be smiles and laughs behind enjoyment. You know, it's just getting satisfaction from completing something, or getting satisfaction from being able to meet people and talk with them and give them something that they want and do something that I want to do. But other than that, I like the independence, you know. I like being self-made. I like being on my own schedule. You know, I like to be responsible for what I'm doing. That's my thing. You know, I've never been a person who enjoyed anything else, you know, as far as making a living. I can't enjoy working in somebody's office or working in somebody's factory or assembly line or something like that. You know, I like to build stuff and make stuff and, you know, work on cars or something like that, but tattooing is my part. I'm not the car dude, you know what I mean? So if there's anything art related, where I'm working with my hands and tattooing, and I'm being able to be on my own schedule, and I'm so busy in this that it's like my life, it's my livelihood, like for real. I tend to stay busy, but I do this almost every day, and been doing this almost every day for going on 14 years. You know, I'm always tattooing or in the shop or somewhere around it, trying to do more. It engulfs you, you know, even if you're done for the day, you go home, sometimes you're still doing homework and research on it, so you have to really be involved in it. And I feel like I'm involved in it. I'm that person who's down to study, who's down to be all for it. I'm never tired of it. That's probably what I like best about it, you know. And I've been able to take care of my family and provide for it with it, and, you know, have a shop and have my own business. So it's like, it can't get any better other than being booked out more, making more money. You know, other than that, I'm fulfilled by what I do every day. So, you know, it's not like a class in school where I feel like I got this assignment done, or I got a headache, or I'm at work and that last 10 minutes feels like an hour passing, you know what I mean? And I don't have any of those worries. I just feel like I'm in my own world and doing my own thing, and I don't have any pressure. So that's probably what I like best about it, is that it's so self-paced and self-motivated, and I feel like I'm cut out perfectly for it.